This is Politricking
On record, Tshidi.
with Tshidi Madia on EWN.
Hello, welcome to Politricking with myself, Tshidi Madia, episode 11, season 6 of a politics podcast brought to you by Eyewitness News. I know you want me to tell you about the US. I know you want me to tell you about that bizarre interview that I had with Newsnight. I was irritated. I was bored because some things about the South African experience should not be explained. Some things are actually so easy to see. If you're looking for them, you'll see them. If you open your eyes to see, you'll see them. And I got the feeling that there are some pockets of the US that are not willing to see, no matter what you do, to shine a light on South Africa's truth. So that interview that went viral, yes, I just went viral. That interview that went viral really is about that, from my understanding. And I keep saying to people, I don't think I said anything out of the ordinary. Like, it wasn't like, oh, no, I would normally. Those are very normal sentiments for me. But I think in this context, why I think it matters, I'm trying to still process it, is because I said what people wanted to say. Does that make sense? Like, people were irritated watching the ongoings in the White House, in the Oval Office. That's diplomacy at play. That's trying to protect an economy at play. I don't have that baggage. So I can just tell you what I understand about South Africa, and that's what I sought to do. So for all the love, all the praises, all the being labeled a patriot is nice. I like that. I take that ownership. I take ownership of that. So thank you so much. I'll continue doing me. There was nothing different. And in continuing in that vein, I've got Kenny Kunene with me in studio. He is the deputy president of the Patriotic Alliance, but most importantly to residents of Joburg, he's one of the MMCs in Joburg. He takes care of transport. So we complain about traffic lights, complain about potholes. We speak about Rea Vaya, the rapid bus transport system in Joburg, and whether it's working or not. These are things that are part and parcel of his responsibilities. But of course, the PA has also been the vindicant, if you want, of the elections 2021, 2024, where we've seen them growing in relevance and being able to play that kingmaker role, and they're now part of the GNU. So there's a lot to talk about, to unpack around the PA, as well as Kenny Kunene. He joins me in studio today. Hello. Dumela.
Hi, Tshidi. For once, you trended.
For once, I trend a lot. You are
No.
I was globally trending.
For being a patriot.
But
I want to say, for once, you trended for being a patriot. I called you several times because I was so excited. And you must understand why people are excited about your responses there. You are a journalist.
Yes.
And journalists, in most instances, would paint the country
We are honest.
in a way that the interviewer is taking them. Journalists are not brutally honest when it comes to patriotism and politicking. And I think even Zuma raised it at some point that the media is painting a bad picture about the country. They are supposed to do PR for the country. So people were excited, people were happy that you came out as a patriot, as a South African. And the only party that has got that particular word, patriot, is the Patriotic Alliance. So you will fit in well in the alliance.
And now you're
patriots.
campaigning. Can I just very quickly, before I want to move on from this, journalist's job is not to actually do PR for the government or for the country. Our job is to hold leadership accountable. That's how you serve a nation. By being able to look at leadership, we're having this conversation now. By being able to ask probing questions about the work being done. That is actually, in and of itself, believe it or not, an act of patriotism. My last part on all of this, my point of departure is, if you listened, I spoke that crime is actually a problem. I'm not going to lie for South Africa, because that's also not how you get South Africa right. But anyway, thank you for that. Thank you for campaigning for me to join PA. I'd rather stay on this side of the political landscape. So you've been Joburg MMC for how long now?
Since 2023 February, so which is 2 years and about 3-4 months.
How are you finding local government?
Tshidi, government in general, not just local government. Yes, I'm here, but I think this is what happens in the province and at national. You need to have political leadership that understand how the system works, that understands profit, production, holding people accountable. So when I came in, and I'll make an example at JRA, one of the regions was on strike for 2 months. From January, I came in February, they were already on strike for over a month. For what? For bonuses. Because some of them were not paid bonuses, others were paid bonuses. So they were doing a sit-in. It is just after a rainy season. The roads were badly damaged at that time in 2023 when I became the MMC of Transport, Roads and Transport. And I went there after about 2 weeks of me being the MMC, because I had to go from department to department, entity to entity, just to understand what the department is about. What are the entities doing?
You get a sense of, yeah.
Yes. So once I did that, I then went to this region to go and hear the cries. The leader there was saying, as we were walking towards them, these are the guys that do patch your potholes, do resurfacing of roads. He was saying, whoever opens his mouth here must give us the time and the date when I will be paid bonuses. Now, I am with the acting CEO, very tall white man, Louis Nell. I'm the political accounting officer. I'm with the administrative accounting officer. So the two highest people in the department are being told by the lowest ranking people that when you come here and you open your mouth, you must give us the date and the time. And I watched senior officials trying to talk to them to say, but the MMC wants to understand your issues. He was just appointed. No. Even that MMC of yours, when he opens his mouth here, must give us the date and the time. That was the first time I was blessed with understanding the attitude of officials, employees of government. They have no regard for authority. And I decided to leave because I wasn't going to do what I'm being told. So I said to the CEO, let's go. We left. But as we are leaving, I see one of the senior officials at the depot is talking to this leader wearing a T-shirt of a union, is talking to this leader as we're leaving. Then I stopped the car. And I said, Mamelamo, call me that gentleman there. And call me all other senior guys here at the depot. I'm standing outside of the car. I said, now I understand where the problem is here. Those people there are not a problem. I want to see HOTs, depot managers, everyone on Monday the following week. It was a Tuesday. I said Monday the following week, 7 o'clock. And I wanted to get a sense. Then we left. But I'm boiling, man. How can... You haven't spoken to me. You haven't had my response to your issue. And you just decide to instruct me like that. So I then said to the CEO, I called him, I said, can you just park behind me on the highway? Came out, I said, CEO, I want you to call the depot manager now and tell him if these people are not at work by 8 o'clock tomorrow, I want him to dismiss all of them. He must fire all of them. Once, tell him that when we drop the call, he must talk to HR to start preparing dismissal letters and an advert. I'm responsible for service delivery here. He said, no, labor processes. I said, don't tell me about the labor processes. I'm talking about service delivery that is affected here. That's my responsibility. And we left. Wednesday morning, 7:45, the CEO called me. MMC, there's no need for letters. The guys are on the back of the trucks. They are going to work. That region is the hardest working region since 2023. That region works at night when there is flooding. That region is so on Monday, the boardroom was full of depot managers, regional ops managers, HOTs. And I said to them, I now understand why there's no service delivery here. There was a rumor. I saw pictures of asphalt being dumped on the parks. because people want to go home early. I saw potholes not being fixed for months because people don't care. But the problem is not these people. I showed leadership, and the people are back at work. From last week, Wednesday, they've been working. Today, they are at work, which means you are not managers. You are not leading these people. You come to work at 8, you leave at 9. That's why you can't even track when they are leaving. You tell them to go and patch people's driveways with asphalt of the city that the city pays for. So you cannot give them instructions because you instruct them to do corrupt things. So even when I'm there as the MMC and the CEO, you have no authority over them. So if the depot is not functional, I am firing the depot manager and the HOD because I need a manager. That's how I started.
Let's speak about that now, because when you speak about that kind of intervention, then in my head I think this should have reached the entire city. But Kenny, I use these roads, and it's very hard to believe that there's improvement. So that suggests to me that people are still not able to do their jobs as they ought to, or there are no resources for them to do their jobs. Have you seen London Road?
Right.
Perpetually
Let's
in a
talk
state
about
of
London
disarray.
Roads.
But just generally, though, the question I'm asking you to answer is the lack of improvement on the Joburg roads. It's a constant cry from motorists.
All right. I introduced a different work ethic at GRA.
Yeah.
It spread all across the 7 regions, and the regions are working. You can ask councillors. They will tell you that things have improved. That's when I got the nickname Papa Action within the city. The challenge that we are sitting with is 30 years ago, over 30 years ago, and this I was told by a SAMU leader who works at GRA. He said to me, MMC, a few months after we started, after I started, he said, MMC, we appreciate the work ethic that we have introduced. Crack the whip. He said over 30 years ago, there were between 18 and 25 members in a team. Now, a depot would have about 6, 7, 8 teams, depending on how big the region is. So those 6, 7 teams would have 18 to 25 people in that team. Now today, GRA has got 6 people in one team from 25. That's why GRA has become a 10111, an ambulance. That is the first challenge, human resource. The second challenge, the city is not collecting enough. So the city is not able to give a CAPEX budget to JRA to mitigate all these challenges. Number 3, when it rains, the road gets damaged. Water is an enemy of asphalt. Number 4, you have a road infrastructure that has outlived its lifespan. These roads were built 40, 50 years ago, some of them 60 years ago. The mining underground has also caused damage to our roads. Now, illegal mining has exacerbated the situation. That's why we have sinkholes on our roads.
Yeah.
Because of illegal mining underground, the Department of Minerals does not care to assist with budget. I took them to Davidsonville. I showed them when it rains, how that mining sand gets into people's houses.
And they said,
I said to them, can you put a budget aside? Let us mitigate. They don't care. They went with me. They saw. When my team made a follow-up from my office, the region said, we have written to national. There's no response. That's 2 years ago. So, but then, with all these things, those are the challenges. So when you patch a pothole is but a symptom of a damaged road. That's why the potholes keep coming, because you have to take out the whole road and reconstruct that road. But with those problems, I'm a man who looks for solutions. I wrote to President Ramaphosa in 2023, and I said, with a thick report, that had numbers of what it will cost to fix our roads, 14,000 kilometers of road, about 14,000 kilometers of road. Our bridges, of the 1,952, I stand under correction, but it's 1,900 plus. Most 70% of the roads are of the bridges are in a bad to worse condition.
Yeah, I can believe that.
No, 90%, 90%, sorry. 90%
Yeah.
of the bridges are collapsing. And I wrote to the president, I gave him that report, that we need at least 100 billion to fix the road infrastructure of Johannesburg, including the stormwater drains, because some of them were built a long time ago.
You see them when there's flooding. And then the traffic lights?
Okay.
Is there a syndicate? What is your reading? I know Kunene speaks about syndicates operating there. Here, I mean, Greyston lights are working now at last. Greyston lights started showing some sense of life when the foreign ministers came here in February.
No.
What are you saying no to?
2023. That's when I started a program on the traffic signals. 2023.
They were not working in 2023.
No. Yes, when I came in, they were not working. But they started working because I launched a program with the private sector, which we started, actually we launched it with...
Greyston Bridge.
Oh, Greyston Bridge. Oh, you're talking about the bridge.
Deliberate, the bridge on the M1.
I thought you say Greyston traffic signal with Rivonia.
Oh, no. So, Greyston Bridge.
Now,
but anyway, we're being too pedantic. Let's speak about all of these things need money. Let's try and get to the overall picture.
I want to get to the point of that bridge.
Okay, speak about the lights.
So there are traffic signals that fall under province. Greyston Bridge is one of them. Winnie Mandela Bridge on top of N1 is one of them. Now, province's response to traffic signals that don't work takes time. That is why last year, 2024, I asked the MEC for us to sit down. And I said to the MEC Kidiboni, can we sign an SLA with you? We must respond to your traffic signals. You pay us, you give us the budget. MEC agreed. We put our teams together, had a virtual meeting, and we said implement. The SLA was signed now in February, where the province gave us traffic signals that were destroyed, that were vandalized, not maintenance. The SLA was about go and rebuild those that were destroyed.
Yes.
Greyston is one of them that was experiencing serious problems. We appointed a service provider. They went to fix Greyston.
Yes.
Winnie Mandela Bridge, 4 ways. We also deployed a team there. And then those that were vandalized also on Winnie Mandela in 4 ways, we responded, and many others. We did 35 traffic signals in 3 weeks. So they gave us 60 traffic signals. So the challenge was, we will respond to the traffic signals that belong to the city, of which is 2023. Of the 2023, 194 are damaged. They are nowhere. The poles are not there. The lights are not there. They are vandalized, stolen, destroyed. We need 70 million to replace them. And then you have the province having 257 traffic signals in the city of Johannesburg. Now, we've done an SLA. We are now talking about doing an SLA for maintenance so that we can maintain the traffic signals. So when you don't see a traffic signal not working in Johannesburg, it's not because GRA is not responsive. It's either there's no power going to that traffic signal, a cable has been stolen. Yes, there's been a syndicate that steals cables. So we now depend on Eskom and City Power to come and bring the power back so that we can then, so that the traffic signal can work. But if the problem is the traffic signal itself, we have installed units that alert the operations center when a traffic signal is not working. And the team gets dispatched to go and see what is the problem and fix it. So most of the traffic signals that are not working, it's power, if the traffic signal is still standing. If a traffic signal is flashing, then it means GRA must come in and resolve the problem. So those are the challenges that we are having. Once we sign the maintenance with the province, we'll be able to do more of their traffic
Regularly
signals.
and better.
But in as far as the traffic signals of GRA are concerned, of the 2023, only 194 is destroyed. Those that are standing are working. It's either power or some unit, and we respond immediately to those.
All of this, though, is big money, lots of money that's required to get
Yes.
those things right. There is a budget that will be delivered in Joburg this week. We've been watching that budget as far as transport's portfolio is concerned on the decline.
Yes.
What are your thoughts? What are your expectations?
Look, we had a meeting as the mayoral committee, and we looked at these service delivery challenges, bearing in mind that the president also came. And I'm happy. I was glad when the president came with his cabinet to the city of Johannesburg. The president said, months ago, Kunene sought to see me. He gave me a report, a message that the infrastructure of Johannesburg is collapsing. He said he needed billions. Where did Kunene get to count all these billions? Then he said, Kunene was foreseeing what we are seeing now. Your infrastructure is archaic. So the president confirmed that as far as 2023, I reached out to him because I'm concerned. I want to deliver a world-class road infrastructure for Johannesburg. The capacity is there. Yes, the budget has been presented. We had a talk as mayoral committee, and we said, let us look at service delivery priorities. And GRA was one of those. And you would see that the budget has been increased for JRA for the next financial year. But we are also engaging, or at least myself, I'm also pushing the Office of the President to at least give us access to the infrastructure grant. Because that grant keeps going back to Treasury. It's sitting there at Public Works. It's not being used. So we are saying, give us part of that infrastructure grant. Let us make the roads and bridges of Johannesburg to be world-class.
The last bit I want to touch on before I move to other topics is the BRT. Rea Vaya, the Rea Vaya. You came in, you also had to deal with demonstrations, the protests there. It had to go under because of the debts. You had to have put under business rescue as well. Where's the process now? Because you also had to do a lot of negotiations with the many, many stakeholders. Because it's got a lot of stakeholders from my understanding.
The BRT...
Patriotic.
1A,
Yeah.
Patriotic. Patriotic has got 299 families, shareholders. And my view was this 12-year arrangement that was done with the taxi industry was wrong. You can't expect people to give away their livelihood that is generational for 12 years. So, and Tate Thuso Motawung said to me, he interviewed ministers, and they said this is a lifetime. What type of empowerment takes years? When you see an empowerment in a mining company, it is a lifetime empowerment. It is yourself who will sell your shares and get out of it, and somebody buys them and gets it. But it's a lifetime empowerment. So I don't know how government 15 years ago or 14 years ago decided to take people's livelihood that is forever and give them 12 years. And put people that are used to taking 1,000 rand every day, 500 every day, and so on, put them in a corporate structure and leave them. They appointed people that came in to steal. So the 299 families were failed by government policy. And government is realizing that now. So then you had 1P. So when the shareholders asked me to help them, I did. And their 12 years ended, then a tender was advertised. Now you're advertising this tender at a time when this company owes SARS, when financially this company is not viable. And their competition, who were empowered on 1B, are tendering with them. And their financial status is better. So you are saying, if these ones win this thing, they now have 1B and 1A. And 299 families must go and sit without any hope of income. It's wrong. It's a wrong decision. And I hear that these ones of Ditsamaiso 1B, They are going to Patriotic and telling people to leave, telling employees of Patriotic that they are now working for them. They were not appointed. They were not appointed. There was a letter of intent to appoint, and therefore, but they must meet with the shareholders of Patriotic. They must fulfill certain conditions. Now they are going around telling shareholders of Patriotic that they've been appointed. They were not appointed. You see, they need to fulfill certain things. And you still have the BRP, the business rescue practitioner, turning around the company. And now they are coming. So there's another legal matter now that must be talked about because the High Court gave him 7 years to turn around that company. So now you are appointing this side because someone is taking a carrot there and there and there. So my position as the MMC is there's no one that is appointed. The BRP, business rescue practitioner, is running Patriotic to turn it around so that the 299 families can be done right. The company can come better. It can make billions that it's supposed to make, can buy buses, and those families can be able to live better because that's why they gave their cars. Then we have 1C, which has been appointed. ABC, Alexandra Taxi Associations came together, clapped it. They have been appointed. They are now on the procurement process of buses. But as the city, we said that process takes long. We saw with 1A and 1B. It might take over 2 years. So we got 68 buses from Gautrain that were not working. They will be given to ABC to start running the BRT from Johannesburg, inner city, going through Louis Botha to Alex to Sandton. That's why you see work happening on those BRT stations, Catherine, Louis Botha, and so on. We are now renovating them, revamping them, so that when we launch the 68 buses, I think in June we'll start launching the first batch, 36. By end of April, 36 were finished with the conversion. So they are still working. There's 2 companies that were appointed to convert them. So that 1C will be able to work, but it also gives ABC an opportunity to understand the business as they're moving forward. I've met with them twice or thrice. They have a very excellent CEO, well-educated, who understand the processes of government, who understand business, Bra Rotney, and he is assisting them very, very well. So we are trying to mitigate the challenges that have happened with Patriotic, and we are advising ABC properly, and we are working well together. One of the things that I have raised in the mayoral committee is that we need to include them in the value chain.
I want to move a little bit away from governance. Let's take a step back on the PA story.
No, before you move.
Yes.
You said what I did, couldn't it have spread in the city? I'm responsible for roads and transport. If I were the mayor, maybe it would have, but I'm not the mayor. I'm the MMC of Roads and Transport.
Okay, maybe let's look at the mayor for 2 seconds.
And it's spread there.
Let's speak for 2 seconds about the mayor. What is your assessment of Dada Morado's performance as Joburg mayor?
We are a team. We are working together. There are challenges. A coalition in Johannesburg. It's the ANC got into a coalition. Now the ANC has been used to ruling alone. So it's difficult when you've got other partners. But at this point in time, we are working. We are talking to each other. We are being frank. And I think we can then move forward. I think at the beginning, there was that sense of I'm the mayor, therefore I make decisions. That's why MMC Chwako, after his speech, raised an issue that we were not asked to do inputs. But we have since regrouped and said, Mayor, this is not how we should be moving. And I think we are in that space now where we are able to talk frankly to each other and say, how do we take the city forward?
There was this interesting thing that happened in the lead up to this formation, this iteration of Joburg's government. And part of it was the PA's movement from working with the DA to wanting to work with the EFF and the ANC. And part of the complaints, I remember Action SA trying to speak to the DA about keeping the PA, but the DA adamant that there's a trust deficit, that there's this issue about trusting the PA, working with the PA. And it's not the first time I heard it. That kind of stays with the PA. Perhaps you can maybe speak to that before I speak about the history and where PA is today.
Yes. Tshidi, Baobona DA, they are just a problem. Helen Zille is a problem. John is fine. John Steenhuisen lives reality. He understands reality of South Africa. Helen Zille is still in that white supremacist mindset that only a white man can do it and a black person can't. Helen Zille is still in that mind of authoritativeness. We would agree with John in a meeting with AfriForum, Action, and other parties. But John will come back tomorrow with a different scenario. So, when Helen Zille spoke about trust deficit, it was not trust deficit. We refused to be garden boys of Helen Zille or the DA. We refused as the PA. We were voted in, and we've made that very, very clear. In fact, in one of the meetings when we were negotiating the coalition, Helen Zille says to me and my president, Gaten McKenzie, that we must prove ourselves. The Federal Council says that we must prove ourselves with one department, and if we have proven ourselves, they will then give us another. I said to her, who the hell do you think you're talking to? You think we care about the opinion of your Federal Council? Why should we prove ourselves to you? Why can't you prove yourselves to us? Who do you think you are? I said, Ella, don't talk to us like that. We have nothing to prove here. We have been voted here. We have not done a favor to be here. The people voted for us. So that is the problem. So, and also we are giving the DA, for the first time, the DA is worried about losing Western Cape.
Yes.
The Patriotic Alliance have come in, and the Patriotic Alliance have now taken from them. And we are their biggest threat. We are their biggest competitor. That is why Helen Zille hates us. But when you sit with John, myself and John exchange cigars every now and then when we meet. And when you sit with John, you sit with the Freedom Front Plus, and you're having a braai. You agree on how we should move forward. But shame, John Wabatu, then Magogo, he goes to report. Magogo says, no.
And
not that way, this way.
So the
and what I'm
been
saying,
Helen.
The Freedom Front has also said.
So it's not you, you're correct. But we'll come back. I promise you I'm going to come back to all of this. I want to go back a little bit to the story of the PA's formation. Yes. Because you know everything you've been called. I don't need to remind you that people will label you everything in between, including Tshidi Madia.
Yes.
You attempted business. We know about your criminal past.
Yes.
You had gone via EFF.
Yes.
Your first attempt into politics. What didn't work about that route that worked out with the PA?
All right. Everything about my life and Gaten's life was a journey. Even the EFF was part of that journey. So here is Malema and Shivambu, Floyd. I was always closer to Floyd than Julius. So the president, the current president, Cyril, was the chair of the disciplinary
of
the appeal of the ANC.
Yes, the appeals committee. Yeah.
So I called Floyd. I said, Floyd, you are going to be expelled. You and Julius. He says, no. We spoke to Cyril. We understand each other. Cyril understands our position. I said, no, I'm telling you on authority that you are going to be expelled. And when they expel you, let's get together, form a party focused on the youth. The youth has got more numbers. Let's form a political party. Then Floyd says, sharp, let's wait and see. They get expelled. Floyd calls me, hey, man, how did you know? I said, I don't worry about how I knew.
No, we never tell our sources.
Yeah. So now, Floyd says, hey, I spoke to the man. The man says, no, it's fine. Let's go back. 5 years is not a long time. Then I drive to Limpopo, to Polokwane, to meet Julius. We go to Chesanyama. After Chesanyama, we go to his house. I say, brah, after 5 years, you cannot come back as the Youth League president. You must go and start at the branch. The ANC has dealt with you. Let's form a political party. He says, no. I'm focusing on my farm.
The cabbages.
I said, sharp. I left. They took the farm. Floyd called me. Keida, Now, your proposal has been accepted. We are forming a party. Can we meet? Then we start to talk. EFF is formed. But then I got to see Julius at closer range. As we were now campaigning, but also talking about fundraising and so on and so on. But also how he treats people. You know, how he treats the old lady who works in his house, how he treats his girlfriends, how he treats other people around him. And I will call him to order. But then we went to Sebokeng and Sasolburg. When we went to Sebokeng and Sasolburg, so I arrived about 2-3 minutes after them, but Julius was already addressing people because we had to go to Sasol. So as I come in, people started screaming for my name. So he gets angry. Don't celebrate late coming. Sharp, no problem. He addresses them. We move to Sasolburg. There's a pavilion, packed, young people there. We have a buggy. We use it as a stage. We are sitting there. So when we came in, we were holding hands, me and him, because we were the face at the time. So he addresses them. After he addresses them, they start saying, Kenny, Kenny, Kenny. Now he's walking back to us. And they are stamping their feet on the pavilion. Kenny, Kenny. So he comes to me and says, hey, Kedam, go and greet the masses. But you can see the face, the anger. So we go there. I go there, I address quickly, step down, but I know, I saw the man. We walk out, we are no longer holding hands as we greet the crowd, no problem, I get in my car, gets in his car. So we agreed when we left that we'll go to his house to do a postmortem. I decided to go to my house. Floyd calls me, hey, Baba, where are you? I said, no. I decided to come to my house. I said, no. Let's meet. Floyd comes to my house. Hey, Baba, you've outshined the master. What do you expect the master to do? I said, now you are talking 48 laws of power. Robert Greene. He said, exactly. What do you expect the master to do? Then we go to a meeting, and he then says in the meeting that there's some business people that are saying they want to fund the EFF, but they can't fund the EFF with the sushi king there. Can't find sushi.
With convicted criminals in the room. Was it just about sushi?
Sushi.
Or it's about your sushi ways?
Sushi, yes.
Must I explain the sushi ways to my listeners, to our people?
Yes.
The way your face is.
I ate sushi of naked women.
That's what Kenny
celebrating
was.
My 40th birthday.
Yes, that's exactly what he did.
So
down the road here in Santon, actually.
Yes.
Kneeling is Za.
On top of Radisson Hotel. So, and I still did a butt naked sushi at Taboo.
Anyway, so he enjoyed sushi off of naked women. So he didn't want sushi. Business people didn't want to work with the EFF.
Business people are saying
because of the sushi king.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are sitting. Nitama is there. He's just joined. All of us are there. Now, he then says, what is the view of everyone? No, Ramakatsa then says, no.
Of course, Ramakatsa.
Ramakatsa says, no. They are sitting in front. Let's get the views of everyone. So he starts, everybody says, no. We can't be dictated to by capital. If they don't want to give money, let them leave it. Mitama also says, no. We can't be dictated to by capital. Otherwise, we are the same as others. But there's one young man who came from Gauteng here, was working very hard with us. He then says, but people are saying they can't join a party of somebody who is accused, who is in court, accused
because
of having
he
collapsed.
Had on point.
He had a case at the time. He was attending a case in Limpopo. So this young man says, but people are saying to us, why would they join a party led by somebody who is facing criminal charges in Limpopo, who has collapsed government, which means he's going to collapse government in a bigger scale. We are defending you. Why are you not defending Fighter Kenny? We can't be dictated to by capital. We are defending you. Kenny went to prison. He finished his term. We all know that. Where now you are still facing a court case where we are defending you, CIC. So then Ramakatsa came in on the same line. And the meeting agreed that no, Kenny stays because he was saying, I must step out. I must work in the background.
Okay.
I must not be seen. Which was selfish because he saw what happened in Sasolburg. So there was no businessman who refused to fund the EFF because of sushi. No. He was threatened because
you saying he was jealous. He was threatened.
Yes. No. He knew what that action implied. When Thabo Mbeki was the president, every time President Thabo Mbeki speaks, once he's done at the stadium, the masses will chant, Ju, 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 Ju. Then he must be called to come and address the masses. Jacob Zuma was the cleverer one. When he took over, he said, all the alliance partners must speak before me, including the leaks, which made Julius to speak before he speaks. So after he speaks, after he speaks, nobody's calling for Jude. So he knew that with that chant, after he speaks, once the leader has spoken, nobody must speak.
No.
He knew what
that would undermine him.
He knew what it meant, that I might emerge more powerful than him in the organization.
So ultimately, the issue between you and Gayton and the EFF
no,
was
not
actually...
Gayton.
Oh, wasn't Gayton a part of it at
No,
some point?
Gayton was not a part of it.
Why do I always think that Gayton was also a member?
But that was not the main reason, because the Central Command dealt with that issue. That, no, we are not going to listen to that.
So what was the main reason why you left?
As I said, I'll still have to talk about that one because I was not prepared to do certain things, Tshidi. Maybe in our next interview, we will talk about
you want to come back? You can't tell me now.
No, I can't. I can't right now.
You're not prepared to do certain things that you're being asked for by the leadership of the EFF?
No. Don't lead me. I will tell you.
I need to try and lead you because here's the thing, though, Ken. Here's the thing that's interesting.
Already,
no?
I told you what I've never said publicly.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you tell me the Sasolburg story. It's very interesting.
Yes.
This back and forth, and you feeling that Malema was threatened. And I'll ask another question about that going forward. But is that what you think happened with Floyd?
No.
Or do you read Floyd's departure as a different story?
No.
There was nothing to do with jealousy or being threatened. Is it about Floyd feeling stagnant?
No. The issue with Julius, as I said, how he treats people. Julius would treat Floyd like nothing all the time. It's not something of EFF. He started at the Youth League. Then I spoke to Floyd when we were forming the EFF, but why don't you call this man to order? And Floyd said, why would I want to fight with a man that I own 50% of his brain? He can't function without me. So it's his personality. I've accepted it, but we'll deal with it at the right time.
You now work with it now differently from outside as a PA, but on your end, you're not going to tell me why you left.
Not now.
Not now.
But
part of the friction was this jealousy.
Look, that one was dealt with. I'm just showing you how it started, how he used, instead of using this to the advantage. Because Floyd then, at the meeting that we had after the incident, before we went to the Central Command meeting, we met because we're also working on Marikana, myself and Floyd, not him. Myself and Floyd were the ones that were going there to prepare for us to participate with the Marikana. It was myself and Floyd. So Floyd then said, look, CIC, let's not put you and Kenny in the same rallies or same public meetings. Or let Kenny speak first, you speak after, so that we mitigate what happened there. The man seemed to agree. But then he takes this thing to the Central Command. He's threatened. So, but that issue for me was neither here nor there, because the Central Command had said,
defended you.
President, we are not going to listen to outsiders. When we joined this party, you were sitting with Kenny and Floyd there. So we are not going to be told by people who are outside. Either Kenny stays where he is. Floyd, sharp. So the issue here, Floyd Julius, has been long standing. And I think
I don't
Floyd
want
saw
to-
an opportunity to now say, let me leave this fool. Let me go and join another party that identifies with what he stands for.
You just referred to Julius as a fool. You still work with them. You work with them in Joburg, right?
No. You see, when this thing of coalition was starting in 2020, when we were going into coalition, and leading up to 2021 local elections,
Yeah.
Gayton McKenzie, as the president of the PA in coalition, in interviews, always said, and I always said, we will go into a coalition with anyone, including if Terra Blanche was alive, we'll go into coalition with him. Because we want to be part of power, to make decisions, to service our people. That is why I am here as the MMC and I'm servicing the residents of Johannesburg. So whether it's Julius, whether we are politically mature or we are mature as people, to understand that we don't have the majority to make government. Therefore, we can't choose. If anybody is here, we will go with them. In fact, it is Julius that had said he would not go into a coalition. But when he saw the Patriotic Alliance in a coalition and how being part of government was giving us momentum, because we were showing, Gayton was showing in Beaufort West in Central Karoo what he could do when he is in government. He then realized that, no, I'm going to end up like Cope, because Cope said in the oppositions, we had read the politics of South Africa, and we saw all the parties that came after 1994. They all die because they relax, they become complacent. For you to remain relevant, for you to grow, you must show the people what you are capable of
get your hands
when
dirty.
they voted for you. So it is him who said he will never. But when he saw us, PA, not anyone, he got into coalitions because he saw the Patriotic Alliance being spoken about, the good work that is being done, and he saw that this party is passing me.
Or not because they're ready to govern. I want to come back to the story of the PA.
Yes.
And then at what point, because you won't tell me why exactly you left the EFF, I'm leaving that door. At what point do you then and Gayton, I made the mistake of thinking you was part of that EFF's
No, he was
initial
not.
cohort. But at what point do you and Gayton decide, actually, politics is the way to go? Because you've also tried your hand at business.
We remain business people. We did not try our hand. We are business people. So when we left the EFF, we had this discussion. With the experience I had about Julius, I felt that career politicians, at least for now, are not about to take this country forward. And Gayton said, hey, Baba, just conversing, my people are left out. The colored plight is not around the political table. We need to bring my people around the political table. All the parties that came before us that were led by colored people have diminished. They don't make an impact. So let us go and mobilize the colored people, unite colored, blacks, whites, and Indians as one. And that is why we then sat down, discussed, and we said all the parties that are led by black people found their grassroots in the black communities. By white people, they find their grassroots in the white communities. Indian parties find their grassroots in the Indian communities. So we need to also bring the colored people and their plight onto the political table. And we need to say, this is where the PA finds its grassroots. That's why we went to Cape Town. We did not start the PA here. We registered here. We went to Cape Town, packed our bags, booked accommodation, started mobilizing community activists, pastors. We even went to each and every house of the so-called gang leaders. We were selling an idea of coming together so that we can make South Africa better. And it worked well. In 2014, we went to the Western Cape in around February. We contested national elections. We got 13,200 votes. And we said, if 13,000 people can vote for us in Cape Town, not Western Cape, were just campaigning in Cape Town. A few of them were in Eldos. We said, it means there are people that can believe in our vision. And that's why we moved to 2016. 2016, we did not contest the whole country. We targeted metros.
Yeah.
Because that is where the ANC was losing the grip. And then we went to the metros. We got 5 seats. 1 in Cape Town, 1 in Nelson Mandela Bay, 1 in Ekurhuleni, 1 in Johannesburg, and we got 1 in Boshoff, a small town in the Free State, where the community approached us to campaign under the PA banner. So we had those 5 seats. And we then said, now in 2016, we then interrogated the politics of South Africa, where the country was going. We looked at history in other African countries and the world, and we said, now is the time for us to focus on local elections. That's why 2019 national elections, we did not contest. But our members asked us to register. And we registered, but we never campaigned.
Okay,
Because
so
now
that's why
we had
those
a plan
sprinklers-
of when can we be a breakaway party? When can we make an impact?
So you are building now off of the gains of 2021, 2024, where
Yes.
you've done quite exceptionally well. Let's speak about the growth of the PA. You speak about the Western Cape, and sometimes I'd listen to John Steenhuisen in the campaigns, and it did sound to me like they were worried about the PA. You look at the recent by-elections, and you're like, there's something to pay attention to here.
Look, they didn't take us seriously leading up to 2021. We won 2 by-elections in Johannesburg in 2020. 3 by-elections that we won. Ward 68, Ward 17, and Ward 18 in Eldos. Those were the by-elections. And we said we are focusing our energies. That was 2019, in fact, when we won. We said we are focusing our energies now to 2021. Let us target local government to grow. And by the grace of God, glory to Him, and our hard work, of course, we're able to get over 80 seats in 2021. From 5 seats in 2016 to over 80 seats in 2021. It's a growth that can not be explained. We are the only party that is growing organically. We are taking the steps in our growth. Those that took the lift, we saw what has happened to Cope because he took the lift. We saw what happened to Ahang because he took the lift. We are seeing now the EFF is also declining because they took the lift, because there were parties that came out of factions of the ANC. But we are taking the stairs. Once you've built local government, so these 85 seats or so that we had at local government, we then said we must translate these numbers into national numbers. But it's easier to translate because we've got councillors now that are making an impact on service delivery. We are pushing our councillors to work. We don't want scandals. You get into a scandal, out. We want
But
them
the
to
two
work.
of you, on any given day, you and Gayton, are actually the scandals I find. The question marks that do emerge are around you. You are an incredibly abrasive person. That video that you did about, the former mayor of Tshwane.
Yeah?
Do you remember that video?
Yes?
Where you were swinging at him?
Yes.
Like that vulgarity.
Yes.
Those things, the blemish on the PA I often find is linked to the two of you.
You see, we are real.
The allegations that are being
We-
made around whether they've been shortcuts or those question marks about how some people are hired at arts, that's linked to the minister.
You see, we are real. We are real. We are action people. We come from business. We are like Trump. We don't try to fit into the political character, into the political facet or facade. We don't want to fit into that. We are ourselves. We deal with matters the way we deal with them. You would see Gayton would write on Twitter to respond. I do videos. That's me. Doesn't matter whether you are a pastor, whether you are what. You do something to us.
journalist.
You do something to the PA. You do something to Gayton McKenzie. I will respond with a video. That's me. So And when I respond with a video, I must say the language that you will understand. I don't want to be trying to be nice. And that's what the people love us for, by the way. The people love us because we are not trying to fit in. We are ourselves. We are honest with what we do. We are honest with what we say. So I was saying to you, Tshidi, so our growth, it's not a haphazard growth. We sit down. We plan.
You thought about it.
We think.
You're still targeting very much. You spoke about the colored community being left behind. You are still seen as somebody, as a party that's fishing in that pond. That to me would suggest minimal growth, though, because their numbers are limited in the population. What do you mean, no? Are you looking beyond the colored vote? Are you looking beyond the colored vote as a party?
Yes. No. We have grown tremendously in the black communities. We've got white members. You should have seen at our rally in Gqeberha last week. There were white people that were wearing T-shirts going into the stadium.
And then the
members of the Patriotic Alliance working the ground. I'm not talking about people in senior positions. I'm talking about ordinary members.
Then the question becomes the reason why, the genesis of why you exist. Akir, you spoke about everyone's got to have their roots. Has to be the struggles of the colored community. When that happens, does it then not dilute the organization and its focus on the interest and the question marks around the colored community?
No, that's the foundation. It remains. It's there. When you look at our manifesto, it doesn't talk about colored people. It talks about South Africans. Okay. But the foundation is there.
Okay.
And now, look, we contested Ward 21 in Soweto last year. Ward 21, Soweto, not one colored. Deep Soweto, Naledi. We came number 2 from the ANC. We beat the EFF, we beat MK. We were number 2, not by a large margin. In Soweto. So we have a seat in Giyani. There's no colored people there. In Umhlati, in KZN, we have a seat. We have a councillor in Newcastle, black, campaigned in the black communities. So there are several areas where we have been campaigning in the black communities and we have won because our people are beginning to see us beyond what everybody is trying to say. Here's Julius. He keeps calling us Mapantiti every day. It's not because Julius is calling us Mapantiti. No, Julius does not mention anyone who does not threaten him. He is bitter, threatened, jealous, because he understands that our growth is an indictment on all of them who are career politicians. Because the people are now saying we would rather vote and follow these ones who come from prison, who were criminals. Because you career politicians have dropped the bar so low that we have no confidence in you. This is the only alternative that we want to follow. So that is why he keeps mentioning us. And the media does not even say, yeah, Baba, don't you get bored?
I think he's often asked. My name comes up a lot, so I think I don't think I'm a threat, but my name comes up a fair amount of times from his mouth. The question of the messaging, I don't know how much do you credit that, because if you say people are sick and tired of career politicians, then one wants to zone in on the messaging, because part of the problem with your messaging is that Mabahambe's slogan,
yes,
where you are seen as xenophobic. You say you are talking about illegal, undocumented, but generally the sentiments are seen as not even xenophobic, as Afrophobic, actually. Okay. That's how they're often seen.
Yes. It's people who are unpatriotic. It's people who are married to foreigners, whether legal or illegal. It's people who have got interests in Africa or in China, wherever the case may be. Our Abahambe slogan does not speak only to Africans. It speaks to Chinese. I've spoken about it. It speaks to Serbians. It speaks to Americans. It speaks to everyone who enters this country illegally. And by the way, President Mackenzie, as the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, was in Mpumalanga with Minister Gwede Mantashe when Gwede Mantashe was acting as the president.
Yes.
On the 27th of April,
Freedom Day.
Celebrating Freedom Day. 95 90% of people who were in that venue were ANC people. They were bussed in there by the ANC. They were wearing ANC regalia. The people were there.
It's a terrible practice.
Hey,
At a government event.
No. That's not a problem.
But was it a government event?
Yes, it was a government event, but there's no problem. People can wear what they want. It's not a problem.
How can you say ANC busting people?
They came in ANC regalia in buses.
Okay, never mind.
So the people are there. Each and every party is allowed to bus people to a government event.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the point I'm making. Gaten McKenzie says in that particular meeting, in that particular venue, we cannot allow illegal immigrants to come here. Some of them are criminals in their own countries. They run into our country, commit crimes here, unemployment and so on. But at the end, he says, Abambe. The whole venue said, Abambe, 3 times. So ANC members are identifying with what we are saying. EFF members, when we were doing by-elections, as I arrived, they in EFF regalia, working the ground, sitting there having lunch. Abambe! So people...
The slogan is catchy. That's what you're saying.
No, it's not just catchy.
The slogan is clearly found expression.
It's not just catchy. It is what South Africans feel. It is what South Africans want. So if the ANC and the EFF say, no, let us allow illegal immigrants, it means they are going to lose more votes. You are going to see the Patriotic Alliance getting more votes in elections.
Because of those frustrations that attach to the economy.
Because
but you know,
they are failing to identify with what their own constituencies want. And we are welcoming them to the PA. If they can't come because they are eating there or whatever reason, their votes are welcome. Because they want someone...
But Kenny, to be fair, to both parties, they've never said illegal documents are welcome. I know that Julius has made that creative comment, but the policies of the EFF aren't there. But I want to move on from there. Let's speak about the issue of succession in the PA.
Yes.
What does that look like for you?
No, when we have built the PA to where it's supposed to be, we will both give others a chance that we are grooming to then lead the PA. For now, there's no hurry. I'm not looking at being president. Gaten is not looking at retiring. We are still fresh. We are still okay. Our members are not looking at somebody else to lead them. So we are fine. It's not even a discussion in the PA because they trust the leadership of the PA. They trust that Gaten McKenzie, as the president, will lead them. Kunene, as the deputy president, will lead them. So they trust these 2 people to guide the party and lead
until
the party.
They're tired of leading.
Until they, not until they are tired, until the party is strong enough for us to be able to hand over.
Who make the determination?
We are a growing party.
Who makes the determination that it's strong enough?
Why would you want to replace a growing party?
Because in the interest of internal democracy.
Person?
In the interest of
There's
internal
no democracy in the Patriotic Alliance. You see, that is the problem.
Exactly.
You see, that is the problem.
Exactly.
You assume that there's internal democracy.
No, that's where the fault line is.
Yeah.
That's where the fault line is, the lack of democracy.
It's not a fault line. Those that worshipped this word democracy are in the grave. Cope was destroyed by a conference. Ahang was destroyed by a conference. The person who founded Ahang was expelled out of her own party.
Yes, that's
the EFF is being destroyed because there was a conference coming. So there's no conferences here to go and say vote. What are you voting for? We are building a party here. We are deploying people based on the hard work that they are doing on the ground. That is why our party is growing. But if we are going to follow the same pattern that we see has destroyed other parties.
And trying to be constitutionally, wait, hold on, Kenny.
Yes.
One of the reasons why I speak of internal democracy is organizations attempt to be on par with the country's constitution.
And we have a constitution in the PA, and that constitution...
And that also promotes the ideals and the idea of democracy in and of itself.
Yes, but that particular constitution stipulates exactly when you join this party what is happening. We have a policy conference. There's no problem. But that constitution that we have, it stipulates. Remember when somebody takes you to court?
Yes.
They take you to court on
On the
constitution.
document, yes.
That document gives the ultimate powers to the presidency. Presidency being Kenny Kunene and Getty Mackenzie. So that when Getty Mackenzie is overseas and we must deal with the issues here, I then deal with them because it is the presidency. We are one thing.
You likened yourselves to Donald Trump. There's been a lot of talk. I spoke about my trip to Washington at the start. Your observations about the engagements on government's part in Washington.
Look, I think it was a good idea that President Ramaphosa went there. I think it was a very, very good idea. I don't see anything wrong with that. The US is our second biggest trading partner. President Trump was misled. Obviously.
You think so?
Yeah, no, he was misled.
Around this fake genocide?
Yes, around this fake genocide.
Or
There's no genocide
choosing.
here.
Oh, he's choosing.
There's no genocide. You know,
But
I was
he's
watching.
choosing.
Yeah, he's choosing.
Despite all that
In
America can do
politics-
to find out the truth, he's choosing that narrative.
In politics, there's two things about a politician. A politician will lie. Maybe not, let me not say in politics, generally. A person will lie. And a person who lies knows the truth. And then you have somebody who does not care about the truth, will do whatever to get what he wants. So whether President Trump believed the stories or not, at the end of the day, those who fed him this information worked very hard because they went to take videos of Mamina, Malema.
YouTube.
Yes, videos of Mamina Malema on YouTube saying these things, right? And when you look at these things, you can believe them. And listen to President Trump after the response of President Ramaphosa. He says, after President Ramaphosa says, this is a tiny opposition party, he says, no. But that stadium there, that is a 100,000 capacity stadium. That cannot be tiny. That's influence. So it shows that President Trump believed in these things. It's not a question of he's just been misled. He's been provided with videos to show that this person has got a following. All that President Trump doesn't know is that 60% of those people in that stadium are illegal foreigners that went there to go and eat. You see? So
no, Kenny. Actually, I want to disagree with you, but I want you to come back to the focus. But I want to disagree in that a lot of hard work doesn't go into putting together a video splice. One. Secondly, a chant is not proven. It's what you congratulated me for sticking to the Americans. And all I said to them is a video of somebody chanting is not proof of a genocide.
No. I'm not saying we are talking about believing.
Yes.
I'm not saying
you can't believe
Trump
when you see the chant. That's sufficient evidence.
But I said the issue of genocide that he was misled about. I said that.
And then you speak about the chant, you speak about the issue of influence.
Did he believe them or is what? So I'm giving you an example of his response to show you that he believed, because he is saying, no, this can't be tiny. That stadium there is 100,000 capacity. Okay. So he is now saying, I'm looking at this thing. And then he says, that's big influence. So it means this man has watched these videos and he has believed that this man can actually turn people around. In fact, I responded to President Trump's tweet on Twitter. And I said, President Trump, don't worry about this one. He's just a political mosquito. All he does is to bubble. So, but still he did not buy that.
You believe it was a good idea for South Africa to go? Are you happy with the performance of government?
I'm happy that, look, I think it was a good idea that President Ramaphosa went. He put the country first to say, let me go and resolve this particular matter, clarify issues. There's a G20 coming. He's going to hand over to President Trump. So he put his ego aside and he said, let me go. And he went. I don't know if it was a good idea to have billionaires in a meeting of presidents. That I don't think it was a good idea, and golfers. I don't think it was a good idea. I think the two presidents should have sat with their delegations and spoke. But I understand also why Trump wanted them there. They're his friends. As the president said, Trump asked for them to be there. So it was not even our president who invited them to be there.
They were there to behest
It
of
was
Trump,
not the
not us.
initiative of South African government, which means South African government did not invite them there, but the host said, can you bring, or I'm inviting these people to be part of this meeting because we are talking about genocide in your country, and I also want them to be here. So let's exonerate President Ramaphosa from that one, because it was not him leaving or saying in his office, let's invite these people. I think President Ramaphosa explained this issue presidentially. What our constitution says, that the EFF is not part of government policy does not advocate for that. But I think, I watched a week before the president went there, I watched on television, they were interviewing his spokesperson. But before that interview, they were playing the statistics that the Minister of Police
About
put
farm
out
killings,
there, about killings in South Africa, which showed that out of 16,000 killings, I can't remember the numbers properly, farm killings were so little in terms of percentage. I think they even said of 6,000 killings, one is a farmer. And sometimes it's not a farmer, it's a farm worker.
Yeah, farm dweller.
Farm dweller. So I don't know why those statistics were not put on the table. That is the only thing that I think those accompanying President Ramaphosa failed to do, to say, because when you go and contradict a perception of a person, you must be able to take evidence,
Substantiate.
and present facts on the table so that when you leave there, they have a different view. So I think that opportunity was missed. But President Ramaphosa, as the president, I think he was presidential in his responses. The people who are supposed to have done the dirty work are these ones that came with him, to come with that detail, to come with the numbers and say, this is President Trump, these are the statistics. And these statistics were not put out there because of this trip. This is what happens every year in our country. The Minister of Police take out statistics. And if you can look for the past 5 years, these are the statistics that we have. Currently, this is where we are sitting. I think it would have struck him also to say, hey, because the people also feeding President Trump this information are not even tapping into our statistics, or they have them. They chose not to give them to him.
Utilize them.
Because there's that angle that they're trying to
There's a narrative. That's what my sense is as well. There's an agenda at play.
Yes.
The question of Starlink. People are going back and forth about what does the Minister Solima Malatsi and his approach around an equity equivalent. What does that mean? It's not necessarily new. It's been done before for American companies as well that have benefited. But people feel this is being done to bend over backwards for Starlink. Your thoughts about that conversation on Starlink?
Look, one of the boys that I know in Zimbabwe is part of a consortium that is doing Starlink in Zimbabwe. And this young boy was telling me that it was costing the country so many millions with the companies that were providing data and so on and so on. And with them tendering with Starlink, they actually went so low that government had to then do a deal with them because they are saving government money. So we might have opinions. It might have been an issue of why is Rupert saying Starlink is good for South Africa? Which is sometimes why people should know what they are supposed to say.
This is why
Elon Musk
billionaires
didn't
out
say
there
anything.
campaigning for Elon Musk.
Yeah, you see, so and that's why people are now up in arms because it was said by Rupert. But we also celebrated things that Rupert said about illegal aliens, about killings in the Cape Flats, because these are the issues that we are raising. And we are happy that he has put them on a global platform. So Starlink, if it is going to decrease the price of data, why not? Our people are paying an arm and a leg. These companies that are doing data here are killing us. In fact, in the city of Johannesburg, a project has been sabotaged where broadband was supposed to be resuscitated so that people can pay cheaper for broadband.
And that's a massive issue. We
It's
spoke to
under,
you and I about
it's under my control.
the issue
You see,
around
so-
MTC.
MTC, yes.
Yeah.
So those who agreed with it in 2020, now disagreed with it. Now you ask yourself, why? Who stands to benefit? And those who stand to benefit are those who are actually selling data, those who are involved in that business. Because once it happens, SMMEs in Soweto, Orange Farm, wherever our broadband is running, are now going to tap into that broadband and sell data cheaper to communities.
My last two questions. It's been a bit of a long conversation. We spoke about the Western Cape, the Cape Flats. We speak about it year on year. EWN's done a documentary on gangsterism. What needs to happen?
You need to vote for President Gayton Mackenzie to be
That
president
might not
of the
be what's
country.
happening.
No,
I don't
I'm
speak
saying-
for the voters.
No.
But we still need a
You are
solution.
asking me the solution. And I'm saying to you, you need to vote for Gayton Mackenzie to be the president of South Africa. For you to deal with the issues of gangsterism, murders in the Cape Flats, illegal immigration, and so on. And I'm not saying it as a campaign. I'm saying it as a fact. Because amongst presidents of parties now in South Africa, the only person that will take decisive action against crime is Gayton Mackenzie. And by the way, supported by Kenny Kunene if I also become a minister under his portfolio,
So it'll be him as president,
under him as the
and
president.
then you'll be the minister in the presidency.
But I'm saying Gayton Mackenzie will bring the solutions. The solutions are there. But the syndicate is too huge. It needs someone that will come and break it. It needs someone that stands not to benefit from the system, from the syndicate, from the system. This thing is huge, Tshidi. Tshidi, there are crimes that governments believe they are okay for the economy.
Yeah.
But these crimes
quite
are
unfortunate.
destroying the lives of our people.
The crime
They are
has gotten ahead of us.
destroying the future of our young people. So the only person that will come and say, let us close all the borders, let us mass deport, let us build prisons specifically for illegal foreigners so that if you go out and you find also your way back in, you are now going to prison for life. And there is a prison, and we are not going to spend too much money on you, feeding you. So you will work the ground, you will produce what you must eat.
Why? Tell me why isn't that the suggestion, the theory that Butsotsi is being done by PA doesn't leave you guys? Right now, Gayton is at the Department of Arts, and people say, yeah, Gayton's just looking for whatever gives them a cut. You speak about having, Emma, let me finish. You speak about a Gayton presidency. People will say to you, oh, you can't have Gayton. I remember people saying, you can't have Gayton at police. He'll bring in the worst of crime. You can't have him at home affairs. He'll bring in the worst of criminals. People worry, and they always make an attachment that you guys are always looking to make a buck, a pretty penny from all these portfolios. That doesn't leave the PA. Tabare mikulugutlu. What's that phrasing? But they're always suggesting that Butsotsi is happening with PAs. Why do you think that follows you?
God put us in this journey so that when we are here, we are not obsessed by those things that they are saying. God put me in a journey of sushi of women so that when I'm here, I'm not destroyed by things that destroy politicians, by the scared. So our life, I said when I started, was a journey. The people that are saying that is the people that are feeling so bitter. Hey, they're going to take over the country. Hey, these ex-criminals are doing so well and people are believing in them. We don't care about their opinion. We are focusing on the legacy that we want to leave in this country. There is a man that I look up to, the president of El Salvador, Bukele. He became the mayor of Salvador, the city. Then 5 years later, he was voted to be president. El Salvador was run by gangs. It was run by gangs. There was no development. There was no tourism. It was another Haiti. The man took over 6 years ago. Last year, February the 4th, was elections in El Salvador. After 5 years of him being the president. In a year, he built a 40,000 capacity prison. He arrested all the gang members.
Yeah.
Put them in prison. Started developing the country. The cranes are everywhere. He got 53% 6 years ago when he stood for president. He started as a mayor, did some work at Salvador, the city. He was voted, he was given 53%. He transformed that country. Last year, for February, they gave him 87.5%. The whole country voted for him. Yet in that 5 years, he was attacked by the naysayers like these ones you are talking about. Even in the US, the NGOs, human rights organizations, were going for him. That he does not respect human rights. There's no democracy. The man transformed that country, and today, the only people that didn't vote for him are the families of those who are in prison, of criminals, and the criminals themselves. But that shows you, when you make difficult decisions, the people begin to have trust in you, and the people will vote for you. From 53% to 87.5% is not a child's play. And we have seen in our country the decline of the ANC from 90% to where it is now.
From 2/3 majority to where it is
40%.
now. My parting shot. You told me how you PA has done the work of reading the lay of the land. That's how you've made some of the decisions that have gotten you here. Quickly predict for me what happens in the next election cycle in the PA.
2021, with the results of 2021 local elections, the PA became the 7th largest party in the country with the results of 2021 local elections. 2024, the PA became the 6th largest party in this country. And the vote that brought the Patriotic Alliance there was 90% colored. Now we have tapped into the black communities, into the white communities, into the Indian community. And they are all seeing where our heart is. 2026, the PA will be the 4th largest party in this country, 2026. 2029, the PA will be the 2nd largest party in this country. We are the only political party that is stable at the top.
I'm taking bets. You'll owe me money. Zuma already owes me a cow from Nkandla. I don't see it, but let's see. Thank you so much, Kenny.
Thank you very much. Salute.
That's Kenny Kunene from the PA.
This is Politricking
On record, Tshidi.
with Tshidi Madia on EWN.